guys, it's Chloe. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a collaboration with Natalia and Danai, so make sure you check out their videos as well.
Hi, my name is Natalia. I've been learning Korean for a few years now, so all my videos are going to be about helping you improve your Korean skills. So if you're interested in learning Korean, come hang out, come see me on my side of the internet. But yeah, okay, bye.
Hello, my name is Danai. I have been learning Chinese for 2.5 years now, and I mainly post vlogs about my life and about my Chinese studies here on YouTube and on Instagram. So if you're interested in that, feel free to check me out, and I'll see you soon.
Today I'm going to be taking you through how I learn languages through reading. So I'm going to be focusing specifically on Japanese for the sake of the video. If you follow me on Instagram, you probably know how much I love learning languages through reading. I feel like it's all I talk about. So I'm going to take you through some of the resources I use, some of the methods I use, and just kind of generally how I do it so that you guys can try it too and see if it helps you as well. So first of all, let's get into the resources. So generally I kind of divide reading resources into 3 categories. Number 1 is native content, so native reading resources, so things like novels, newspapers, for Japanese manga, things like that. We'll talk about that more in next week's video. The second section is textbooks, reading textbooks. So these generally will have like reading passages and then as well include vocab lists, maybe some exercise, practice questions, that kind of stuff. And then the third section is like graded readers. So they don't necessarily have vocab lists or even practice questions, but they're kind of designed for different levels. So you can find a book that suits your knowledge of the language to help you like understand it better. So that's my first tip for this video, is choose resources designed for your level. So I'm going to take you through quickly some of the resources that I have. I won't be focusing on native content because that's for next week, but I've got some graded readers and reading textbooks to show you guys. I will link everything down below so you can find it easy. So there's 2 graded readers I want to share with you. One I do actually have, the other one I don't own, but I will put a picture somewhere. So the first one is Let's Read Japanese. This is by my old university, so it is literally just reading passages. There's no vocab list or anything like that. It is just the text and some nice pictures. Last time I checked they went up to level 3. I'm not sure if they've published any more yet, but these are really nice. I'll often flick through these like before bed if I'm just like reading. The other series is this one. Can't remember the name off my top of my head, but it's got the frogs on it. That's another good series. Again, it's broken down into levels, so I don't so much actively study with graded readers. I tend to just read them and see how much I know. If there's a word I'm really stuck on, I'll like look it up in a dictionary or something, but generally I will just read through it and see how much I can understand, see how much I can pick up from the context of the story. So I think graded readers are good to more kind of test yourself a little bit because they don't have like the lists of vocab or translations or anything like that, so you can focus just on the Japanese and just on reading the story. So these are nice just to kind of ease you into reading more passively, I guess. You're not having to, you know, do activities or anything like that. You can just read it and enjoy the story, see how much you know. So that's graded readers. Then I have a whole load of textbooks. Surprise, surprise. I'm a lover of textbooks. I like books. I like having books. So I've accumulated these over the years. So the first one is Japanese Stories for Language Learners. I feel like I've spoken about this one a lot, both on my channel and elsewhere on the internet. So it gives you the story in Japanese as well as English translations on the opposite page. And then at the end of the story, it gives you vocab lists. So some nice big vocab lists. There's some translator's note as well as discussion questions and exercises, so you can test yourself on like what happened in the story in Japanese and in English. So this is like a solid little book if you want to improve your reading. It's also really good for vocabulary because it has so many vocab lists and new words in the stories. It does also include some grammar, but generally I find with reading I learn more vocabulary rather than grammar, so it's good that it does include some new grammar points in here. Next is Reading Road. This is another one I feel like I've spoken about loads. It's for N4 to N3 level, kind of pre-intermediate, intermediate level. So there's 5 chapters and each chapter has 3 lessons. So each chapter is on like a different topic, and then each lesson it gets harder as you read it. So lesson 1 is the easiest and lesson 3 is the most advanced. So it just has the Japanese, the vocab list at the bottom, and it does have some practice questions to test your understanding of the passage. It does also include some grammar notes, but these are not so much the focus. I feel like the focus is very much on vocabulary, and just from the lessons I've done, I've known all the grammar, so there's been no new grammar for me, but I have learnt so many new words. So yeah, this is another one especially for vocab. It's really good, and I find that the passages are actually really interesting. It covers a whole range of topics, so whatever you're interested in, I feel like you will find a passage in here that piques your interest. The next quick tip is read about what interests you, because you don't want to be bored while you're reading. Another one similar to Let's Read Japanese is Read Real Japanese. This is the fiction one. They also have essays. So this is just a collection of short stories. So it has the Japanese on one side, and then it has some translations on the other. And then in the back it has all the vocabulary. So again, there's a lot of new words. So again, this one's nice because you can kind of test your understanding of the Japanese by checking the English on the other side, and there's a whole load of vocabulary to learn. Also comes with a CD so you can listen to the stories. But yeah, overall very nice. Next we have Japan Up Close. It's basically just a whole load of different chapters on Japanese culture, 15 lessons on society and culture in Japanese. So it's all about Japan in Japanese. Another tip, try to read both fiction and non-fiction. It can give you a wider range of vocabulary. The thing that bothers me about this book, this is completely unrelated to anything I'm talking about, but it's half in black and white and then half in colour. Like, I'm guessing it's to save printing costs, but why not do one or the other? It winds me up that half of it is in colour and half is in black and white, and it's literally alternating pages. One page will be black and white, one page will be colour, and it slightly infuriates me. But anyway, this is a nice book because it covers such a variety of topics. In the back it does have translations for the stories, but there's no vocab list. There is like a vocab glossary, I guess, but there's no translation, so it is all just in Japanese. But they do have practice exercises in the back so you can test your understanding of the content. And then there are tasks kind of dotted throughout, which brings us to another quick tip. Test your understanding and your reading comprehension with practice questions. So I think this one's really nice because it kind of encourages you to engage more with the content, with all the different activities. Even as a learner, I quite like that there's no translations kind of as you go, there's no vocab list. It kind of forces you to think more. You're not relying so much on the information in English, which I know obviously you can flick to the back to see the translations, or you can check a dictionary for the words, but I feel like having the main content only in Japanese kind of pushes you more to focus on trying to understand and using Japanese. And then last but not least, we have the Japan culture book. I wasn't really sure how to categorize this one because it's actually meant for Japanese people learning English, but it basically is divided up into topics. So this one, for example, is on literature, and then it gives you the Japanese and the English. There is small vocabulary sections at the end of the passages. So this one would be good for advanced learners because there's no furigana because it's meant for native Japanese, but it does have translations for the passages. There's no exercises in this one, but I think it's a neat little book. Another resource I will say is Memrise, Quizlet, Anki, any kind of spaced repetition flashcard system. Because there is so much vocabulary when reading, it's good to kind of have a system in place that you're learning the vocabulary, you're not just reading it and then leaving it and assuming you're going to remember it, because that's never how it works. Next quick tip, take time to learn new grammar and new words from the reading. So now I'll quickly take you through my process for learning Japanese through reading. So it's nothing super fancy. I will show you a couple of examples. In the Japanese Stories for Language Learners book, for example, I usually cover this with a big sticky note or like another piece of paper, and then I go through the Japanese and I highlight any words I don't know. And then in this one I was smart and I wrote in pencil, so then I can go back, I can rub out the pencil, and then I can test myself and see if I remember the vocabulary after drilling it on Memrise or whatever flashcard system. And then again, in the vocab list I highlight the words so I can see at a glance if there's a word I don't remember. I can look it up and I can see it clearly because it's in blue. In reading mode, I wasn't so smart and I wrote all the meanings in pen. So in reading mode, it gives you a checklist. So I go through the vocabulary words first before reading the passage, and I tick off the words I do know. And then I read through the passage and I highlight any words that I don't know, and then I write their meanings. So that includes ones from the vocabulary list and any words I just don't recognize. Then I'll put the words into a set. I've been using Quizlet for this book, but I need to move them all over to memorize. And then I'll just go through them on the app and try to remember as much as I can. And because I've written in pen, which was an idiot move, I can't really test myself with reading the passages again since the meaning is just there above the word. But if I hadn't done that, I would go through again, reread it, see how much I can understand, see how many of the words I can remember. And yeah, that's pretty much it for how I learned Japanese through reading. So it's nothing super fancy. I definitely focus more on vocabulary than grammar. Obviously, if there's a grammar point I don't know, I'll make a note of it using spaced repetition to make sure that I know the vocabulary. And with the different sorts of reading material available, I think you can definitely find something that works for you. So for example, graded readers might be better for beginners because they're meant for all levels, so you can find usually level 1, even level 0, so you can start from the beginning and work your way up. Reading textbooks, I feel, can work for every level. You can usually find something to suit your levels. For example, Reading Road is N4 to N3, so books with full translations or vocab lists, things like that, they can be good for lower levels because you can learn more. Things like Japan Up Close, they'd be better for intermediate advanced learners. You're being tested as you're working through, there's questions to answer, things like that. A lot of books designed for learners focus around things like culture and Japan itself, which means you can learn so much more than just the language. So yeah, that's it for this video. Make sure you check out Natalia and Danai's videos for this week's collaboration. Natalia will be doing all about Korean, Danai will be doing all about Chinese, so make sure you don't miss those. Hope you enjoyed this video, hope it was helpful, and I'll see you next time.